Guys, New England Patriots fans, they might be some of the dumbest, saltiest fans I've seen in all of sports. The tweets I was perusing through after the game were absolutely hysterical, hilarious. But this one little tweet from a guy named Patriots SB49 tops the list. And I quote, "If there was a fifth quarter, no way the Eagles win today. There's your story. Print it." Well, here's my rebuttal, you freaking clown. If there were three quarters in the game, the Eagles would have won by 21 freaking points. So print that, bitch. How about that? So, miracle in Foxborough. It happened. The Bitter Birds are here to talk about it. I'm Adrian Fenke, Jeremy Burton, Mike Owens. They're both here. Let's talk about this W. Let's get excited.
Oh, man. Well, as you noticed, I got my Cowboy hat on today. And, well, it's come to that point in the season, unfortunately, where, as us Eagles fans, we have to cheer for the Cowboys to beat the Redskins tonight. And, well, that's become the case because somehow the Eagles pulled off a miracle yesterday. And I got to say, I never expected to be, watching that game yesterday and seeing the Patriots fans leave the stadium because they were behind by 21 points. I thought they would be leaving the stadium because they were ahead by 21 points. So it was, just quite the turn of events from what we really expected yesterday from the Eagles. And it's really become apparent that this Eagles team is unpredictable.
Oh, man, what a wonderful game. It was so exciting to watch. We were jumping up and down. The Eagles have not went to New England and won since the day before I was born, November 29th, 1987, over 28 years ago. So, monumental win. Obviously, we have to pull a little bit for the Cowgirls tonight. That'll put us in a three-way tie for first place at 5-7. Who would have thunk it? But this division is atrocious, so anything can happen. And Mike's right. I mean, I haven't seen a more unpredictable Eagles team in all my years. You get blown out by mediocre teams like the Lions and the Bucks. You give up 90 points, and then you pull off 35 unanswered points after being down 14-0 to the defending Super Bowl champs and best team in the league. Like, what? So, a lot of good things we're going to get to today. Chip Kelly, he showed me a little something yesterday, put his ego to side a little bit. I must say I genuinely liked it. Still don't love the guy. I don't completely trust him, but he made me feel good. He made me feel good yesterday. He made me think that maybe he can, maybe he can stick around in this league a little more.
Well, Chip Kelly has been carrying his balls in a wheelbarrow today because they're just absolutely huge. What he was doing yesterday, just letting Murray ride on the pine for a little bit. A guy you're paying $8 million a year, and, he had the third most carries on the team yesterday. So it was, 15 carries for Darren Sproles. You had 9 for Barner, 8 for Murray, and Murray was the least productive. So insane. Changes are being made. Now, the reality of this game is this. Eagles got 3 return touchdowns. There was no Gronk. There was no Julian Edelman. So they got a little lucky. But you know what? You beat Bill Belichick and Tom Brady in Foxborough. So that's a feat all in itself as well. But, a lot of credit for a lot of things. Vinny Curry getting more snaps. Sure, you had to play in a lot more nickel and dime situations. But Vinny Curry getting more snaps and making plays. Miles Austin gets the boot. Bye. See ya.
Bye.
So he's not here anymore. And then we'll see what happens with Murray moving forward because in his press conference yesterday, Chip said that, they wanted Barner and Sproles to get more carries because the bigger linebackers. He said the same thing today. So, is he lying? Who knows? We'll find out moving forward. Who's going to be getting the snaps. But a lot of changes, and we'll talk about that right now to start. Changes from Chip Kelly. What do you guys have to say? Now, I know Jeremy talked about it already, but let's get Mike's thoughts.
Yeah, it kind of shocking, really, because didn't really see this, coming. the way that Kelly has coached here to the up to this point, he's really relied on Murray to get the job done, and Murray really hasn't gotten the job done because this offense doesn't really fit him. But Chip Kelly has had that ego, and he's decided to ride Murray up until this point. But his Chip Kelly's ability to put his ego aside in this game really paid big dividends, because I can tell you right now, if the Eagles would have decided to just keep running Murray in this game, they would have definitely lost this game, probably by a few touchdowns, because it wouldn't have worked. The offense would have stalled. They would have gotten a bunch of 3-and-outs, and the Patriots would have just ran up the scoreboard. But the way that they used Sproles and Barner, getting them to the outside, using their quickness, really paid off for the Eagles. So you have to give credit to Chip Kelly for this one, and really changing up his game plan, deciding to really demote Murray and have him sit on the sidelines. And on the other side of the ball, you got to look at Billy Davis, and you got to give him a little bit of credit, because he figured out a way to not shut down Tom Brady, but they did a good job of controlling Tom Brady. And to get some interceptions off Tom Brady, especially a pick six, is huge. So, yeah, you really got to hand it up to the coaches in this one. And, the last few games, when we got blown out by the Bucs and got blown out by the Lions, it was on the coaching staff because they just didn't have the game plan. But for some reason, they had a game plan against the Patriots, so really confusing.
Yeah, I mean, great job on both sides of the ball. Maybe it was Jeffrey Lurie's speech to each one of the players saying, hey, apparently he lit a fire under their asses. He's from New England. He really wanted this game. And it shows the players did have some pride. I mean, you don't want to get blown out for a third straight game. But, yeah, I got to give credit to Chip Kelly and Billy Davis. Billy Davis did a great job at, played a lot of zone coverage and only rushed like 3 guys and had eight guys back. But was still able to get pressure on Tom Brady. And, we rattled him a little bit. We got 4 sacks. Brandon Graham had a great game. Barham was all over the field. Vinny Curry had a couple sacks. I mean, it was nice to see Vinny Curry get more snaps because, there was a lot more passing situations. I mean, Brady threw the ball like 56 times, so, you got a lot more pass rush in there, so Vinny played a lot more. And, Chip Kelly on offense, we really didn't need that much offense in this game. We only had around like 240, 250 total yards of offense. Because, like Adrian said, we had those 3 non-offensive touchdowns, and that's not going to happen every game. But if it's going to happen in any game, we needed it against the Patriots because, maybe we got a little lucky, but we were in positions, the players made those plays. Maragos got the jump on that punt. The safeties were in making the play on that interception. So the guys were in the right position. Great game plan by all the coaching staff, and I mean it was just amazing to pull out that win, and hopefully we can ride the momentum here.
Yeah, I mean insane, absolutely insane. My thoughts on Chip, real quick. It's crazy. Last week, people were saying that he lost the locker room. Did that look like a team that kind of gave up on its head coach? Absolutely not. So. I think last week a lot of things were overblown with the media, and the thing that you have to take into account with the media, and why I don't really listen to them, they like to overblow things because that's what sells papers. What do people want to read about? They want to read about how Chip Kelly's losing the locker room, or they want to read about some third-string running back getting his first start in a game or something. You want to read about these things, and you dig for more. When you're a reporter. So a lot of things get overblown, and a perfect situation of why you can't trust reporters, look at the Les Miles situation down there at LSU. How many times was that guy fired in a week, and then all of a sudden they beat Texas A&M and he has his job back. So don't trust reporters. That's my thing. All right, there's your Bitterbirds tip of the day. As for coaching adjustments Chip made, I really loved the the third quarter drive that they had, where they drained like 6+ minutes off the clock. The first 8 plays were run plays, and the first 7 of those run plays did not involve DeMarco Murray. So they went right down the field without their star running back, and that was very, very impressive from Chip. A lot of other things he did in this game too, but we'll move on to another topic now. And I did want to break down DeMarco Murray a little bit further here. And just a simple question: what's the problem? Why isn't he doing anything this year?
Well, I mean, it's quite simple. He's a former Cowboy, so he has that disease, and it seems like, up to this point, he tried to, get the rest of the Eagles sick with that disease. And, he did a good job. It worked for a while. And then someone within the Eagles organization stepped up this week at some point and it told Chip Kelly that, look, we got to put a stop to this disease, It was like the Black Plague. So the Eagles finally decided that they got to stop giving him the ball. The problem with Murray is that he's great when he gets to the second level. He's good in between the tackles, but the problem is Eagles don't have the offensive line to allow him to get between the tackles. They just don't have the size, especially with Kelsey at center and their 2 guards that are, average at best. So that's a problem with Murray, and he can't run outside. So the Eagles have, they got 4 running backs right now, and they got 3 of them that can, get to the outside and use their explosiveness to hit the holes fast, and Murray's not one of them.
Yeah, to put it pretty simply is I think just DeMarco Murray doesn't fit Chip Kelly's system. He doesn't really put him to work in his biggest strengths at what he did to get 1,800 rushing yards last year with the Cowboys. Plus the offensive line, like Mike said, I agree. The inside of our offensive line is the weak spot, and lack of size and just talent. I mean, we got the likes of Tobin and Barber in there next to Kelsey, and Kelsey hasn't had a good year all year. But what I really like is how you can see even at like 33 years old how Sproles is just still the fastest guy on the field. I mean that's amazing, and he's still strong. I love the way Chip used him. He can get through holes that, he's low center of gravity. He can probably go under offensive linemen's legs, unlike DeMarco. But, it is disappointing this year with DeMarco. We signed him for $40 million, and he's sitting there on the bench. But I got to give credit to Chip for making that move and seeing, riding the game flow, riding the hot hand. If this is going to be a week-to-week thing, like he said, it all depends on matchups. So, go with the hot hand, trust in his boy Deuce Staley to put the right guys out there, and I think he did a great job with the running backs.
Yeah, a couple things about Murray. I mean, he is overrated. Last year was an outlier of a season. I didn't really like the signing when we did sign him, but I was just like, I was okay with it too because he wasn't the money wasn't that bad, but his thing is, well, you guys said it, the interior line is just not good enough, and it's kind of not his fault fully, but when you watch him run the sweep and the outside zone stuff, he just doesn't get there as fast as the other 3 guys do, and the lack of explosion is evident, and I've said this before on prior shows. Murray is actually averaging more yards per carry on the sweep and in shotgun as opposed to under center and running between the tackles. And the reason for that is because of how badly the interior of the offensive line is. The reason why we run all these sweeps is because that's where our strength is on the offensive line. Kelsey, Pulling, Peters, Lane Johnson, those guys can run block. But in this situation where Murray likes to do his work, we just can't block it. So I think Murray will be better once we fix our kinks along the offensive line. But at the same time, you're paying a guy $8 million a year to be one of the upper echelon running backs. So if you're a good running back, you should be able to not only run between the tackles but also outside the tackles. And that's goes to him being a little overrated. So those are my thoughts on DeMarco.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. And I think as the big question has been now, what do you do with DeMarco like going forward, talking about next year and so on. And really, as you mentioned, I think that if they can try to fix that offensive line, maybe get some guys in the draft, kind of shore up the interior of that offensive line, then I think you'll be all right with DeMarco as long as you still have guys, like Sproles and Matthews and Varner. But for right now, the way that their offensive line is set up, it just doesn't fit, Murray's running style. So that's why they got to stay with the hot hand.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mike. We can't get rid of him, and no one's going to trade for him with that kind of money. And it would be like something like $13 million in dead money if we cut him. We're not going to cut him. So we're stuck with him, and I totally agree. Chip better address the offensive line in the draft. Get some talent there next to Kelsey in the middle, and Peters is getting older. He's already approaching his mid-30s, so shore up that offensive line, and maybe it'll fit DeMarco's strengths more. But as of right now, I'm actually really looking forward to getting Ryan Matthews back because, he's averaging like 6 yards a clip, and he's shown real explosiveness. And as long as this has been a long concussion protocol for him, and he's always injury prone. But I think having his explosiveness out there will really help, and mixing in Sproles and that'll really fit our offense best down the stretch when we need them.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to get back to a Chip point because I forgot to make this opinion or whatever a couple minutes ago. So I just want to say this. Because we were 4-7, because we were in New England, in Foxborough, because we had no chance of winning, it was a little bit easier for Chip to make some of these adjustments, I think. And so you played with nothing to lose. So why not try something different? Just kind of my thoughts on that. Because if you look back at last year, Chip had the 5-1, his 5-1 quote, where he just thought everything was okay, even though the secondary at times looked terrible. They were 9-3 to start the year, and the Eagles never really made adjustments, and it bit them in the ass down the stretch. Well, this year, you start 4-7, you're seeing a lot more adjustments, and it's the inexperience of Chip. He's starting to learn some things. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, well, I think really the big thing with Chip Kelly in this game is that he kind of looked at himself in the mirror. And he looked at himself in the mirror, and in the mirror he saw Chip Kelly as a GM. And he had to say, all right, look, I got to put, this Chip Kelly, the GM guy, aside. Got to put my ego aside. And I just got to go out there and I got to play with the guys who are getting the job done. And that's what he did in this game. And a great example of that is how they got rid of Miles Austin today. That's another sign of how Chip Kelly is learning that sometimes you make bad moves as a GM. And that's what he's done. He's made some bad moves in the off season, but he's starting to own up with it. And this game was a good head start.
Yeah, well, you're seeing the likes of I'm glad he learned from the Miles Austin mistake. Hello, Jonathan Krause. But you start to see things that do work out. You can see let's talk about Chip's GM move of bringing Bradford in here. You see how Foles is doing, another atrocious game from him yesterday with the Rams, and I just watched a little bit of him on Red Zone, and Nick Foles' balls are just like lollipops, like floating, and like they're just asking to be intercepted. And it was great about seeing the poise Bradford had in the pocket yesterday. Really got me excited, especially on that clinching 3rd and 11 pass to Cooper. Great block by Jason Peters, step up with a hand still in his face and just deliver a strike, only where Riley can get it. So that's a GM move from Chip that is working out, and I expect Bradford to be back here next year. But Chip, maybe he is learning a little bit. Like I said, he is a smart guy. I want I want to trust him. I'm trying. I want to. But, this has been such an inconsistent year. I mean, I got to see how the rest of these 4 games play out. And God, I hope this is a streak to the playoffs and we can build off this. And, I'm seeing it's a good stepping stone in my getting trust back for Chip. And, hopefully he continues to learn. And we saw the adjustments he made and the bold moves he made this weekend with keeping DeMarco on the bench and going with what works, Sproles and Barner. So let's keep it going.
Yeah, and let's transition now to Mr. Sam Bradford. If you look at the numbers, he didn't play well. 14 to 24, 120 yards. Did throw 2 touchdowns. Important thing there is no turnovers. The QBR was 32.5. I believe the passer rating was 99.3. So difference is there. So your thoughts on Bradford? Did he play well?
Well, he had a better quarterback rating than Tom Brady, so I think he played pretty well. It's pretty hard to outduel Tom Brady in New England with the Patriots and Tom Brady coming off a loss. So it was quite the impressive performance by Bradford, and the numbers aren't going to show it because he only passed for 120 some yards. But the key with Bradford is he came through in the clutch and he delivered when he had to. Nice touchdown pass to Ertz in the back of the end zone. Rolled out, had a nice touchdown pass to Matthews, and then the other play obviously was a key, third down throw that Cooper that should have sealed the game. But, they had to wait a little bit before the game finally ended. Got a little bit dicey there with the Barter fumble. But, Bradford overall, the past few weeks, he's really showed a lot of progression with this offense. And he's really a different quarterback than he was, the first, 8 weeks of the season, really. The past few weeks, Bradford is kind of playing like the quarterback that, Chip Kelly traded for. He wanted the guy that's going to come in here and not turn the ball over, almost be a game manager in a sense. And he's really been doing a nice job of that.
Yeah, I said this last night and today. I think he played a good game. It's not always about the stats. We talked about this in previous shows. The final numbers aren't always, tell you how well the quarterback played. You got to watch the game and see how he managed it and in what situations, how he do in third down. And I think he did a great job. He delivered some accurate balls. The touchdown pass to Jordan Matthews was low and only the place he can get it. That Riley Cooper catch obviously was great, and to see his fiery feistiness after that completion, getting the first down, you can see he did a nice fist bump and scream, and that was great to see. It doesn't get mentioned enough, but this guy is coming off 2 straight ACL surgeries, and this is his first almost full year. He did miss 2 games, but this is his first year back from double ACL surgery. So, we said half the season, it maybe takes him a little longer to gauge him, but right after the halfway of the season mark, he started playing well before he got hurt. Those last couple games before his injury, and then he came right back from the shoulder injury and concussion and managed the game very well in a hostile environment against the best team in the league. So you got to give it to Bradford. I liked his pocket presence, and he made some big throws in the clutch too.
Yeah, you guys basically just made the same points that I was going to make. So I will say this about Mr. Bradford. So a lot of people on Twitter were giving him heat because of the third down check downs, a lot of third and longs, and he was going to the check down, and they were calling him check down Sammy, all that stuff. Let me explain something to you guys. Our receivers are shit. They are complete dog shit. I would rather have Keyshawn Martin than anybody on this team. You look at some of the Patriots guys, they're better than what we have. So if you have a 3rd and 11, these guys are just not getting open. They're not getting open. So do you want Bradford to be like Sanchez and try to fit the ball somewhere and get it picked off? Is that you don't want to check down? You want that? Is that what you guys want? Because I thought, for him to check down, not turn the ball over, keep the Eagles in the game, not do something stupid, I liked it. All right, so if you're just watching the game and you're not looking at the numbers and you're just watching the decision and the decision making, Bradford was fine. I liked it. So fuck you guys who hated him yesterday.
Oh, we do need help at receiver. Maybe Jonathan Kraus is the answer.
Oh.
Anyone's better than Miles Austin.
Oh my God, Miles Austin.
Bye.
Yeah.
Snip, snip. Snip, snip. He's gone.
Oh boy, dude, what a great day today. What a great day. No Miles Austin. Even the Sixers, they bring in Jerry Colangelo.
Oh, yeah.
Temple football, we're keeping Matt Rule for at least another year. This is great. What a great day.
It was a 6-year deal.
6 years, yeah.
Yeah. So.
To 2021, pal.
Yeah, I didn't see how many years. I just saw that he was staying. So.
Yeah, I didn't see a dollar value with it, but I saw through 2021.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, love them.
Yeah. All right. Another point I wanted to make. In the first half, this was happening a lot. We would possess the ball. We would move the chains a couple times, and then the goddamn holding penalty. It's been a killer all year. It's been a huge killer all year. This is what happened in the Miami game. When our offense started to stall, it's because we started committing penalties. And if you remember the point I just made about trying to convert 3rd and longs with our receivers, it's just not going to happen. So if you have like a 2nd and 4, you have a holding penalty, and then it's like 3rd and 9, you're not going to convert that. So these holding penalties are absolutely killing the Eagles. And yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Gotta stop.
Well, it has to stop. I mean, there is a point there early on in the game. Early in the second quarter, I thought that we were going to be on a record pace for penalty yards. It was getting outrageous. All the holding calls, just grabbing face mask, just stuff that you can't do along that offensive line. And like you're saying, we just can't get it stuck in those 3rd and long situations. So they were just really drive killers, and it was really a shame early on in the game with all the offensive penalties that we had, because we were actually moving the ball quite well on offense to start out the game, but the penalties really just kept sending us back. And then we got to the point where it really hurt us, because then the Patriots all of a sudden jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and I thought that the penalties were really going to bite us in the ass in the end. But we found a way to really settle down with the penalties, and the rest of the game we didn't. We might have only had 10 more yards of penalties or something. Really settled down. So moving forward, limiting the penalties is going to be key, because the reason the Eagles have struggled on offense this year is because they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, this just comes down to playing disciplined football, and these are fixable issues. You just got.
They haven't fixed it this year.
No, they're fixable, but they gotta fix them. So saying it is one thing, doing it is an entirely different thing. So obviously this has to get fixed. You gotta, you can't be holding and killing drives. That's a big reason why we gave them the ball and they were up 14-0 real quick. And the penalties, like Mike said, did go down later on in the game. Maybe it was because our offense didn't really have the ball that much. We got 3 touchdowns on non-offensive touchdowns. But no, what was great was when I don't know if Belichick got a little cocky, and after up 14-0 did the little poocher, and we got it at the 41-yard line, and that was a drive. We didn't have any penalties. We got our first touchdown to Ertz. And then we held them the rest of the second half until at the end, right at the end of the first half. Right at the end of the first half, we tied it up with that, the punt block. So, yeah, definitely penalties is one of the definite drive killers, and you can't go in third and long with these with our trash receivers. Still haven't seen much from Nelson Aguilar. It's disappointing these receivers this year, man. So penalties definitely they got to stop.
Yeah, and it's insane because you're watching the game early on, and you're seeing the Eagles move the ball, and they're just squandering these opportunities, and you're just like, all right, well, it's still 0-0, and then the Patriots score those 2 touchdowns, and you're just like, oh, here we go again, same thing as the last couple weeks, and then yeah, Bill did that stupid pooch thing and kind of switched everything around. So yeah, insane. I want to talk about the defense now, and a couple guys in particular, because Brandon Graham was outstanding. Fletcher Cox still doing Fletcher Cox things, and there was a rookie that really shined yesterday. Eric Rowe had himself a ball game. Wow, he was good. So let's just talk about the defense.
Yeah, well, the guy that obviously you have to talk about right away is Fletcher Cox. This guy is just the star of the defense every single week. He's always going to be consistent the consistent player on this defense. So got to give it up to him. He's always in the backfield. Also, Brandon Graham, nice job of getting pressure on Tom Brady, getting a sack here and there. So got to give it up to him too. But like you said, the main guy that we really got to talk about here is Eric Rowe, because with Nolan Carroll going down with that injury, last week with the broken ankle, we needed, Rowe to step up in, a big way and, play solid football. And that's what he did. He really played good football. I know that, the Patriots have some injuries at the wide receiver spot, but he still did a solid job, and he was a guy that was there, causing the incompletion to seal the victory for the Eagles at the end of the game.
I love talking about the defense. All right, so Fletcher Cox. Let's start with the beast down the middle. So he, a lot of the sacks, I think, were, Fletcher Cox was just getting penetration into the backfield and forcing Brady to go lateral, and that was, I think, where it set up Vinny Curry and Brandon Graham sacks. So there's Fletcher Cox contributions, and then the coverage was outstanding, also allowing the defensive line to get to Brady. And talk about, well, Eric Rowe was rowing his boat all day yesterday, all over Brandon LaFell and the likes of Keyshawn Martin, and did a great job blanketing these receivers. Didn't give up any huge plays. Yeah, they're not Calvin Johnsons, but Billy Davis put Eric Rowe in a good position, and he was seemed comfortable. Didn't really look like a rookie out there yesterday. He looked kind of like he knew what he was doing, and he's a smart kid. Chip Kelly obviously really liked him in the draft, traded up to get him in the second round. So, it's very promising. We could have a great starting corner for many years to come with Eric Rowe. And, look at Maxwell. He played well. He had a pretty easy interception in the end zone, but and then look at the safety play. I mean, that interception was like the epitome of our safeties this year working together. They both converged on Amendola there, tipped by Thurman right in Jenkins' hands, and he took it 99 yards to the house. I mean, that was it was the most exciting play of the game, arguably, because there was many other ones with the punt block and the punt return, but oh man, what an exciting day for the defense. I got to give credit to Billy Davis and all the players. Connor Barrow was another one, stood out at linebacker. So even Marcus Smith had a hurry on Tom Brady. Wow.
Marcus Smith, I believe it's his first solo tackle of his career. So congratulations, Marcus. The Eagles are undefeated when Marcus Smith makes a solo tackle.
Yeah, defense was great, man. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's a great point you made about Cox, because that's like a hockey assist, causing the penetration, forcing the lateral movement, sidestepping in the pocket. Because if you're going to the left, you're going right into Brandon Graham, and that's how he was getting sacks. But Curry, the same thing. So a lot of the sacks were set up by the penetration inside by Cox. And just to comment on Eric Rowe, I think he might be a stud in the making. This guy was very impressive yesterday. I know New England receivers aren't great or anything, but um, you know for a rookie cornerback to do what he did. Granted, this is the kind of like the time of the year when the rookie cornerbacks start to get a little bit better. Last 4 weeks of the year. But man, the way he attacks the ball when it's in the air, I've seen this all year from him. Very impressive. He's always in position, and the way he attacks the ball, he always knocks it away. Really good job. And the other thing that he was doing really well was when he was sitting down in his zone and instinctively, attacking the flats and making solid tackles. You're not going to see that from Byron Maxwell. At least from a tackling perspective. So Rowe was very impressive yesterday. I think he's a stud. I think I don't know if he's a star in the making, but he looks like he's the real deal, and I'm very excited about his future moving forward.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was very, promising to see how Rowe played yesterday, and hopefully he can continue to play like that the rest of the way. The other thing with Rowe is that he struggled in the Lions game because he was going up against Calvin Johnson, and well, I mean, let's be honest. There's really not too many other defensive coordinators in this league that are going to leave a rookie cornerback going up against Calvin Johnson. But, of course, we have the one idiot defensive coordinator that would do that in Billy Davis. So, you really can't take too much away from that Lions game in Rowe. I was actually kind of impressed with the way that Rowe played Calvin Johnson. He was on him pretty tight, but, I mean, Calvin Johnson is Calvin Johnson. So to see Rowe follow that up with another solid performance against the Patriots is definitely very good to see.
Yeah, one thing I really like about Rowe, as Adrian made the point, is tackling. I mean, that's just something you really want in a corner. You want an aggressive corner, not somebody that can cover, and it can cover as well as tackle. So the way he has an eye for the ball, his instincts, he turns around, he finds the ball, and he'll get his hand up. And then, like he said, like Adrian said, the tackling, I think, is huge. You need that in a corner. You don't see arm tackles like Byron Maxwell. You see Eric Rowe get in there, and he'll use his whole body. So it's very exciting. And, our secondary is obviously much improved. And, it's great that we saw Kerry Williams get cut today, so he's without a job, and Eric Rowe, our rookie, is coming off his best game of his career. So, this is a great day for the secondary of the Eagles.
Both our starting cornerbacks from last season are now unemployed, both of them, Bradley and Kerry. So, wow, crazy stuff, crazy. And this brings me to a point I wanted to make about Maxwell real quick, because when we initially signed him and spent all that money to go get him, here's the thing. It's very difficult to find a good cornerback in this league in terms of drafting them and developing them, because they're just you never know what you're going to get from them. Sometimes you'll get a guy like Justin Gilbert in the first round, he does nothing, but then you can draft a guy in like the 6th round, like a guy like, I don't know, Ben-Wickery or something, and he's a stud. So the cornerbacks are so hit and miss. And with Maxwell, you knew at least you were getting an above-average corner. And to pair him with a guy like Rowe, like what the Eagles were doing was, at least in my opinion, you went and drafted 3 cornerbacks this year. So with Maxwell, you knew you were getting at least one. You knew you had at least one starter. Now, because you signed him, yeah, you got to spend all that money. But the premise was, okay, so you have one guy. Now all you have to do is find one more guy and not 2. So I think that's part of the reason why Maxwell was signed. and given so much money. People need to stop looking at it from a perspective of, well, he makes all that money, why isn't he that good? It's not like that.
Yeah, it was actually Merrill Reese had a really funny call on the Maxwell interception yesterday. Maxwell picked the ball off, and then Merrill Reese said, and Byron Maxwell did something positive. So I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, Maxwell, you're right. I mean, people kind of expect more from Maxwell with the money that we gave him, but the reality was that, he wasn't going to live up to that expectation of being a shutdown corner. We just needed him to come in here and play solid ball. And, besides that first game of the season against the Falcons, he's done just that. He's played, solid enough to be a good cornerback on this team. So, yeah, right now with Maxwell and Rowe as our starting cornerbacks, I really can't complain considering that we had Fletcher and Williams last year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not even a question how improved our secondary is. And one of my favorite signings that Chip brought on also in the secondary this year is Walter Thurman. Never played safety before, only paid like maybe $1.5 million for him on a one-year deal. Hopefully we re-sign him and keep him around because he's doing a great job with Malcolm Jenkins and Byron Maxwell. Yeah, he's coming around this year. He's admirable. Is he worth $10 million a year? No, he's not. But that was just the market and what it was and what we had to give him. It's just so but I think he's been solid. Came up with a pick yesterday, and I love our secondary. I love our defense. Not the past couple weeks, but yesterday it was great. So hopefully Billy Davis is done with the bogus game planning and game plan more like he did against the Patriots for these last 4 weeks, and let's get to the playoffs. Let's get the 500.
Yeah, and just really quickly lamenting on my point again. I didn't do the research for this. I didn't look to see who the first round cornerbacks, who they've been the last couple years, or like who've been drafted. But cornerback is the toughest position to scout in terms of trying to figure out if a college corner is going to translate into the NFL, because there is such a learning curve and a difference from the college game to the professional game. So besides like cornerback is probably the toughest position to draft, and that's again what I said about Maxwell. In terms of, at least you have him, and then you can go on and try to find another guy. And, hopefully Rowe is that guy. And just, a quick Malcolm Jenkins shout-out for him, too, because that play he made on, was it first and goal or second and goal, when they were at the 1-yard line, and for him to knife through into the backfield for a 4-yard loss, he's been doing that all year, just knifing in. And this is why the development of Ed Reynolds as a safety remains important, because if you can play him at safety and have Jenkins slide down in the slot, what happens is that allows the opportunities for him to knife through into the backfield and make stops like that. So if you can get another safety, that's why they're playing so much Brzezinski earlier on the year, because they want Jenkins to get those slot snaps instead of some guy named E.J. Biggers because he stinks.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. It's pretty crazy that, we were just mentioning Jenkins now in the show because the guy was outstanding again yesterday. A 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. Like Jeremy was saying, even though, Thurman had a good part of that interception and really got the assist on that interception return, but, Jenkins had to catch the ball, and that's something that he's had a problem with, is catching the ball. So he finally caught it and returned it for a touchdown. So, yeah, as far as, your defensive MVP goes for the season, if you're talking along that front seven, you're going with Fletcher Cox, and you're talking about the secondary, you got to go with Malcolm Jenkins.
Oh, hands down. Defensive MVPs, it's a 1A and 1B thing. I would go between Fletcher and Malcolm, no doubt. I love the point Adrian brought up about having him more down for blitzing and running plays, because he can knife in, he can get penetration in the backfield. We need, a lot of questions came up in Chip Kelly's press conference today, and he said a lot of praise about Ed Reynolds. And I remember one game in the preseason, Ed Reynolds had a huge game with a couple interceptions, and he showed some playmaking ability, and he seems to be learning. And now that Coupland's out for the year, Ed Reynolds is getting the opportunity, and like Chip Kelly said, he's earned it. And we saw Ed Reynolds yesterday play a little bit, and we saw the benefits of having Jenkins slide down rather than E.J. Biggers in the slot. Even though Biggers did have one solid play yesterday, but he's good for one play every once in a while. E.J. is, but no, I mean, yeah, he's not good. We would all rather have Jenkins down there. So yeah, developing another safety would be great, and have Jenkins slide down, but. Jenkins has been the closest thing. I mean, nobody is going to compare to Wolverine ever, but he's become the closest thing in recent years to the amazing, great, I say, Hall of Fame safety, Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Moving on to special teams, something we haven't really seen from this year. Last year we had all those block kicks, the field goals, the block punts, the punt return, kick return, touchdowns, and for the first time this year, it kind of looked a little bit like last year. Chip does like to spend money on special teams. It's something he actually takes very, very seriously. And, well, it paid off huge yesterday. I mean, Chris Maragos, the block he had, I mean, that's a guy Chip's brought in. He's brought in Sei, Ajira Tutu. He's brought in a lot of guys for special teams, and this is why, for shit like yesterday. Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, special teams hasn't been so special this season up until this point in the season, but if there was ever a time for the special teams to turn things around, this was the game. They really needed it, and they really came up huge. I mean, there's no other way around it. They did an outstanding job, and, really the special teams, it was key for them to recover that, Pooch onside kick that the Patriots tried to pull when they were up 14-0. It was key for us to recover that. The lone miscue that we had on special teams was when Ertz dropped the one onside kick. Tough to see Ertz do that. I mean, you expect him, being a tight end, to be able to catch that football. But besides that play, the Eagles really did an outstanding job on special teams.
And generally, our special teams has been, I mean, it was obviously great last year, had its moments this year, but generally it's been really good. I really like Dave Phipp, actually, as a special teams coordinator. Reminds me a little bit of John Harbaugh. He's a younger guy. He's only like 40 years old. What can you say? I mean, we got great players on special teams, and Chip does like to bring these guys in, the Maragos, the Azir Tutus, the Brian Braymans. Trey Burton stepped up in a big way. These plays yesterday, and it brings a lot of excitement and momentum. Special teams is such a huge component. It gets kind of out. It's kind of like an out. It doesn't get as much credit as offense and defense, but it's a huge phase of the game and can really shift momentum. And we clearly saw that happen yesterday, especially against such a great team like the Patriots. Getting 2 special teams touchdowns, one the block punt, and a guy like Najee Good's been playing pretty well. He returned that one, and obviously Mighty Mouse himself, as Merrill Reese called him. That was a great call, and after I think crossed midfield, he's like, Mighty Mouse, he's gonna go. Oh man, that was just great. I mean, it just brings so much excitement to the game and to the team, and they get fired up, and that's what special teams should do. Keep this unit going. Let's not have these be the last special teams touchdowns we get this year. Let's get some more.
Yeah. It's definitely undervalued. It's an undervalued thing, commodity for every team. It seems like a lot of teams don't take as much credence into special teams as Chip does. and even us, the Bitter Birds, this is like the first time we talked about special teams this year. They did something great, and we don't even bring it up until, 50 minutes into the show? So what the hell's wrong with us? Jesus Christ. And, and another reason why I like talking about special teams, just because I could say Sei Ajir because it's one of the greatest names in sports.
That it is. But, yeah, pretty wild that it took us this long to mention the special teams. But the Eagles really needed all three phases of that game to play well if they wanted to come away with a victory in New England. And, well, they got it, because if they only had two of the three going, they wouldn't have won the game. But since they got all three phases to play a good game, they came away with the victory.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely played well in all three phases. Offense was managed well, pretty balanced between the run and the pass. Defense obviously played spectacular, and you had the special teams obviously spectacular. So when you can win in all three phases of the game, you can beat the Super Bowl champ. So, we got a tough test. We got a tough test at home in the Link against the Bills. They're playing for a playoff spot. They're in their hunt. Going to be a tough cover. Sammy Watkins has been hot. Tyrod Taylor is a playmaker. And they have a running back who I think is going to want to do well in this game. So it's going to be a tough test.
Williams, that guy. Yeah, he's pretty good.
They're going to want to play, defense is going to have to play well and all three phases in this game. Rex Ryan is a great coach. So, this is going to have to be another all-around, game by the Eagles to pull out a win.
Yeah, agreed. Quickly, before we sign off, let's do, we haven't done this one in a while because we haven't won a game. 3 stars of the game and final thoughts. So let's just combine it into one. So just really quickly name your 3 and final thoughts for the game.
Yeah, well, my 3 stars, I'm going to have to, obviously go with Fletcher Cox, and then I'm going to have to go with Sproles, and then I'm also going to go with Eric Rowe. So they're my 3 guys of the game, and really my final thoughts on the game was, it was a miracle that we pulled it out. It really was. No one expected us to win that game. None of the experts even predicted it. Everyone had picked the Patriots, so it was really a testament to the Eagles' coaching staff to be able to come away with the victory in that game. And Chip Kelly kind of pulled a page out of the Bill Belichick playbook here. And on Saturday night before the game, Chip Kelly had all the guys in the hotel, and he showed only positive plays of every player on the team throughout the season. And, that's something that Belichick does. So it kind of, Belichick's, ways kind of backfired on him.
My 3 guys, I'll go 2 on defense. I'll go with, obviously, Malcolm Jenkins is a big one. And Vinny Curry for having a great game. I'd like to see him get in more pass rushing situations because we obviously can see what he can do. And I'll go with Bradford coming back from 2 games off and didn't really seem to lose a step. And I really liked his poise and the balls he was throwing. And final thoughts, Chip Kelly, you are getting a little bit on my better side, but still, you got some trust to still build with me. But you took a step in the right direction. If you have another good game this weekend and against the Cardinals, the last quarter of the year, last 4 games, if you can turn this around and win 3 out of the last 4, say, or maybe even all 4, who knows? If this is a step in the right direction, I like what Chip did, so got to give Chip some credit. And Billy Davis, continue the game plan. You got a tough matchup this week. Just let's ride this momentum. This is a huge win, and hopefully it's a stepping stone to something great.
Yeah, we'll see. 3 stars, Malcolm Jenkins, Fletcher Cox, Eric Rowe. Just really quickly. Now, my final thoughts. I don't know if Philadelphia is going to like this or not, because this is where I'm just a little bit of a Debbie Downer here. Uh, like I've said last week, like I've said before, I don't get too high when we win, and I don't get too low when we lose. We had 3 return touchdowns yesterday, so we got a little bit lucky. So there's no guarantee moving forward that all of a sudden we're going to start winning games because we beat the Patriots. It doesn't work like that. So my final thought is just let's just see what happens, because this team is so unpredictably unpredictable, and you don't know what's going to happen with this team. This team could go and lose all 4 games. They could go win for all 4 games, and I wouldn't be surprised at either result. So that's kind of what I have to say. But I will say that I have hope moving forward because of the adjustments and the changes that Chip made. So that does give me hope, but I'm also still not trying to get too excited just yet. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. All right, with that being said, we're going to close the show out. We got a game to watch. Go Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Let's do it.
Keep calm and chip on, guys. Keep calm and chip on.
Yes, sir. So, that being said, I'm Adrian Fenku. Those little rascals, that's Mike Owens, Jeremy Burton. We're out of here. Go Birds. Go Cowboys.
Later.
Later.